Welcome back, everyone, to our post-game show. Lisa Matthews, Kyle Odegard here with you. Be sure to subscribe to our official YouTube channel for all post-game coverage on this one. Unfortunately, we're talking about a Cardinals loss today, 26-23. It was a bit of a deja vu towards the end of that, Kyle, but unfortunately, the Cardinals cannot close it out. Lions get their first win since October 2019, first road win since September 2019. Unfortunately, at the cost of the Cardinals.
Kind of a struggle all day long for the Cardinals. Never gotten a great rhythm. I think obviously turnovers were the story of the day. Kyler Murray throws 3 interceptions, and they were moving the ball pretty well in spurts, but never quite put it all together. And Matthew Stafford did a nice job on that last drive, leading the Lions to victory. Yeah,
there's a lot to cover, so let's dive right into today's highlights, how the Cardinals got the loss here. Again, 26-23 to the Lions. It was first quarter, the Lions get the field goal early on in this one, making it 3-0. And then it's 2nd and 13. It's Murray with a beautiful throw to Andy Isabella right here, getting things going for this Cardinals offense, Kyle.
Yeah, Andy Isabella had a really nice game for the Cardinals. And look at this throw and catch.
Beautiful. Right there in the back of the end zone. That got them the lead 7-3.
Cardinals doing a nice job early. Kyler Murray. Jeff Okudah has the angle on him, and Kyler Murray just shakes him. Unbelievable 1-yard touchdown run. And then, the Cardinals are feeling good, but Detroit comes right back. Kind of the story of the game. Kenny Golladay with a nice catch from Matthew Stafford, and the Lions go into halftime with the lead.
The third quarter, 3rd and 12 on the 38. Murray picked off here, unfortunately, for the 3rd time. It's going to be a big storyline that we'll get into later on in this post-game show. Again, Jeff Okudah there with a little payback on Murray. And then it's 1st and goal. Isabella gets the Cards back in this one, making it 23-20. Again, miles and miles of confidence for Isabella. He's feeling good this 2nd year.
Despite all the mistakes, they're up going into the 4th quarter, but Detroit had the really nice drive at the end. Matthew Stafford to Kenny Golladay, and then Matthew Stafford with the really big pass to Marvin Jones. He shakes off Curtis Riley, the Cardinals' 5th string safety who had to be in the game because of injuries.
And this, of course, sets up that 39-yard field goal to win it. Again, the first road win since September of 2019. Again, we were thinking maybe, hey, overtime here, but yeah. Cardinals couldn't get it done. Here's some final stats to you, Kyle. Just what stands out the most after looking at the stat line here between the Lions?
Yeah, I mean, you see it. The Cardinals outgained Detroit, had more first downs, but the big number, 3 turnovers to 0, and that's going to be the difference in a lot of games. It's hard to win NFL games when you lose the turnover battle that badly.
And that's tough to see after 2 strong weeks from Murray. He actually didn't have a lot of that running game that we were used to seeing in the first 2 weeks. So he put the Cardinals in some tough positions to try to overcome in this game, but right now we're going to head over to head coach Cliff Kingsbury. His thoughts on Murray's performance in the Cardinals' 26-23 loss today.
Yeah, you got to give them credit. Said all week they're going to come in and play a great game, had their backs against the wall, and they came in and found a way to beat us. We didn't play particularly well. I think you can see that, but it starts with me not getting us ready to play. Didn't call a very good game. We turned the ball over 3 times. They didn't turn it over any. 12 men on the field, things of that nature. Just those will get you beat, and that's what happened today.
On Kyler's 2 interceptions that weren't Dan Arnold tip.
I'll have to take a look at the film and kind of see what happened there. I don't recall at the top of my head, but we just can't turn the ball over like that 3 times against a good team and expect to win the game. I think the percentage of that is winning a game. If you have 3 turnovers and they have 0, is like 5%.
Cliff, Larry had just 1 catch and was only targeted 3 times. Why was he not more involved this game?
Yeah, that's on me. I should have done a good job, a better job of finding ways to get him the football. He's, heart and soul of this team, and when he's getting the football, good things happen. So that's completely on me, and I got to find a way to get him more incorporated in the offense moving forward.
Next 3, Cam Cox, Josh Weinfuss, Jess Root.
Cliff, Kyler's been so good these past few weeks. Do you think he got impatient today at times?
I'm not sure. I just think you got to give them credit. They made plays on the football when they had their opportunity, and we just have to not do that.
Hey, Cliff, it's Josh. What did Andy show today? And then I guess what did he prove about being, a larger part of this offense after today's game?
He's done a nice job all through training camp. Came back. Game was slowed down for him. Really worked hard at his craft, and it was good to see him have that success today. So once again, we got to continue to find ways to get him the football, and we have some talented wideouts that we gotta maximize those guys.
Hey, Cliff. The defense overall, it did pretty well. 4-12 in third down, 2 of 6 in the red zone, sacked three sacks. Do you think the defense did enough to be able to win the game today?
We lost the game, so obviously none of us did enough. That's kind of the answer. We all had opportunities to put that game away. I like what I'm seeing from the defense, physicality. They're playing hard, but as a team, we just didn't get it done.
Next three, Kent, Catherine, Greg.
Cliff, you mentioned you didn't think you called a good game. And other than not getting the ball to Fitz, is there anything in particular that stands out that you'd like to have back?
Yeah, just looking at whenever you turn the ball over, as a play caller, I put that on me. Not getting guys open and not communicating correctly, where the ball should go, and you lose games that way.
And Kyle Kingsbury obviously disappointed in this one because he said he could have called things better, but he really can't go out there and make catches. Keyshawn Johnson missed 3. We didn't see Fitz with any yards here today. Just a kind of a mixed review on both offense and defensive side of the ball. Yeah, and the wide receiver situation was very interesting where, like you said, Keyshawn and Fitz didn't have big games. And on the flip side, DeAndre Hopkins had a huge game, and Andy Isabella did really nice. So how does that work out moving forward? Clearly, Cliff Kingsbury felt like he should have gotten Larry Fitzgerald more involved. He said that was on me, and he wants to rectify that. So it's definitely something to watch moving forward. I think the passing game overall still did okay. It was decently efficient, but the issue was the interceptions, and Cliff Kingsbury took some blame, but I'm sure when Kyler Murray talks, he's going to say he wanted a few of those back. Yeah, and defensively, I felt like they brought the physicality early on. We saw sacks from Kennard, Peters, Reddick, Phillips. They did a great job at forcing field goals, but there was too many of those chunk plays that ended up hurting this Cardinals defense. And I think when they look back, when they see at the end of the first half, they gave up a long drive and a score, and then at the end of the game, they gave up a long drive and the game-winning field goal. Situational football is so important in the NFL because a lot of these games do come down to the last few minutes, and obviously the Cardinals weren't able to execute offensively, and then the Lions did, and that was the difference at the very end. Well, what we talked about in the pregame show, we knew that this was going to be the most difficult team that they would face in the passing game. Stafford, he looked like himself. When you look between Murray and Stafford in their game here today, 2 former overall picks going head-to-head, and here's their quarterback comparison, Aaron Ground, quarterback comparison between the two. It's the 3 turnovers that really obviously hurt Murray in this one, where Stafford was firing on all cylinders. Yeah, Matthew Stafford, he had a nice game, which the Cardinals knew he would coming into this one. And I think maybe the lack of depth at the safety position, because you already didn't have Jalen Thompson, and then Chris Banjo went down early in the game. So you were using a couple of guys in Deontay Thompson and Curtis Riley who weren't expected to be big players in this game. And moving forward, if Budda Baker is going to miss a game or 2 because of the thumb surgery, which was reported by Ian Rappaport before the game, then you wonder about the safety position moving forward as well. So Matthew Stafford's a great quarterback, and this was going to be a hard matchup no matter what, but dealing with those injuries as well, I think, hurt, and the Cardinals will have to shore that up a little bit moving forward. Now, talking a little big picture, obviously, with Murray, we know that he doesn't get too high, too low. We talked about that in the pregame show, but what does a game like this do to this offense right now going forward? Yeah, I think it's a tough game for Kyler Murray and for the offense, but I still feel like when things were in rhythm, they moved the ball through the air pretty good. I still think the running game has a little bit of ways to go. Kenyon Drake didn't have as big a game as I thought he would, but I'm not too worried about the offense. I feel like Kyler Murray, when he's throwing the ball well, he wasn't like super inaccurate. He might have made some bad decisions and not seen defenders, but
I feel like Kyler Murray will be fine. It was a bad game, clearly, but if he brings down the turnovers, this offense still has a lot of firepower.
And Matt Patricia had seen Kyler Murray before. They really did a great job at containing him, not letting him let loose. He had some design runs there, but he wasn't, the force of nature that he's been on the ground as of recent.
Yeah, and it might be a game plan thing now where teams saw what Kyler Murray could do in those first 2 games and said, hey, we're going to put a spy on you, or we're going to make sure our defensive linemen stay in their lines and not be worried as much about getting sacks, but just keeping him contained in the pocket so he doesn't have as much room to run. Maybe that'll be the game plan moving forward. It's the NFL, so teams are always going to be flexible and figuring out what the best way is to stop a quarterback. And clearly Kyler Murray dealt with something today that maybe wasn't there the first 2 games, and we'll see how the teams against him do it moving forward and how the Cardinals combat that.
Yeah, people are taking notes. Now let's head up to the booth with the guys who had today's call, Dave Pasch and Ron Wolfley. And Dave, I'm going to pose this question at you first. We saw the Cardinals struggle in stretches today. What was the most revealing thing to you that resulted in today's loss?
Well, I think it's what Cliff Kingsbury said really to open his press conference, and that's the chances are extremely low. He threw out 5%, it's probably accurate, of winning a game when you don't get a takeaway and you turn the ball over 3 times. So who knows what happens in this game with if you take away the interceptions. Kyler didn't have his best game. The sense of urgency didn't seem there at the start of the game like it was against Washington last week. But in the end, you look at -3 in turnover ratio, the fact you don't have a pick this year, you only have 1 takeaway. I mean, it's really hard to sustain winning when you're not taking the ball away from your opponent.
Yeah, and Wolf, kind of based off that, what's your level of concern about Kyler Murray throwing 3 interceptions in this game?
I'm not concerned. I really am not. Kyler Murray, the one thing we know about Kyler is he has done a great job protecting the ball. He did it all his rookie year for the most part. I don't expect this to be a problem going forward. I think they'll make the corrections here. But, hey, listen, this game to me came down to quarterback play. Of that, there's no denying. It came down to the Detroit Lions and their quarterback, Matthew Stafford, playing better than Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. And because of that, so much of the time in the National Football League, the team whose quarterback plays better ends up winning the game. The interceptions, as far as Kyler goes, I'm not worried about it now because it's a 1-game scenario that we've seen. Now, if this turns into 2 and 3 games where he goes out and doesn't see the field, doesn't see coverage, then I think we can start worrying.
Yeah, Dave, for the Cardinals defensively, they were able to hold the Lions to field goals, but it was those chunk plays that really hurt them going forward. How would you just assess their play here today?
To start the game against Washington, the defense was fired up, and they put themselves in a position with getting the lead early to win that game. And it's crazy. When you win the first quarter, you usually win the game. Even though this came down to a field goal, a lot of times games are dictated by how you play to start the game. And the Cardinals were giving up some of those chunk plays on that first drive. Yes, they held Detroit to a field goal on that opening possession, but the Cardinals defense just didn't look the same. Chandler Jones, he's got so much attention on him. Everybody's game planning for him. So, to come out and expect him to play the way he did last year, every single game is probably asking too much. I mean, they still got to Matthew Stafford, but look, the difference between last week and this week is quarterback play. I mean, Dwayne Haskins is a young quarterback. Matthew Stafford is a veteran with incredibly gaudy numbers who has carried, he's been to the playoffs 3 times. We were talking about this during one of the breaks. Think if Matthew Stafford was on a better team. I think we'd be talking about this guy as a Hall of Famer. He may get in anyway with his numbers because he's an excellent quarterback, and we saw that again today.
Yeah, and Wolf, how do you look at this team moving forward? The big question for the last 2 weeks was, were they going to get overconfident or complacent? And now it's a different feeling because they got punched in the mouth and lost. What do you expect from this group as they turn the page?
Yeah, as a former player, Kyle, that's a great question. And I know there's a lot of fans out there that aren't going to be happy to hear this. But for me, I can tell you right now that this might not be the worst thing that actually happened to the Arizona Cardinals, because this could be a wake-up call. They have a young team. They have a young quarterback in his second year. They have a young head coach in his second year as an NFL coach. I just think it's not the worst thing that could possibly happen to get a gentle reminder early in the season in particular, hey, everyone's talking about you and how great you are. Well, guess what? Maybe you're not that great. And that's always a good reminder, I think.
Yeah, definitely the first taste of adversity for this 2020 team. All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. We'll see you next week.
Okay. The NFL's never easy.
Never
you
easy.
You think things are rolling, and there's talented teams every single week.
Well, they kept saying, don't crown us yet. Only 2 wins. It's week 3. Here they suffer their first loss. But it is time to crown our SRP Power Performer of the game. We can say with confidence, it is Andy Isabella, 4 for 47, 2 touchdowns in this Cardinals loss, but he definitely was a shining moment in this game.
And he talked this week about taking advantage of opportunities that came for him. He felt more comfortable. He said, I can play in this league, and he goes out and does it. Not only the big catch early, but the touchdown in the third quarter, putting the team ahead with the great spike there.
The spike, that is confidence right there.
And it'll be interesting how he gets incorporated now moving forward, showing that he can make a difference when he's on the field.
Yeah, definitely. And just with him mixing in, I see him always talking to Fitz, and the coaches, Coach Rye, always with him and working on their footwork during practice. So great to see him have some confidence here leading forward. And hopefully that continues as the season goes on, as we don't know what will happen with Kurt, unfortunately.
Yeah, a lot of different receivers that are in the mix, and it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. And it sounds like Kyler Murray is now at the press conference podium.
Yeah, I can't really answer that. I don't know why. Just kind of flow of the game type of deal. Hope to get him more balls next week.
Kyler, good to see you. Sorry about the circumstances. Greg Moore, Arizona Republic. Can you tell me about how you balance the frustration of making a great play like that touchdown run or making a great throw? How do you balance the frustration of the joy of making a great play with the frustration of losing a tough game?
It's part of the game. Been playing this game my whole life. Dealt with obstacles, ups and downs. There's going to be adversity in every game. That's just part of it. We understand that. Obviously, I feel like if I don't turn the ball over 3 times a day, we put ourselves in a better chance to win that game, in a better spot. But we just, it's over now. On to the next game. We just got to be better.
Connor, on the 3 picks, it was clear Okudah made a great jump on the 1 pick. What about the 2 other ones? What grinds at you about the other 2? Or all 3?
On that one, I threw it behind him. I don't really think it was, I think it was a user error. I mean, I could have. That's an easy completion every day of the week. Just like I said, I threw it behind him. The one to Dan, don't really know. I mean, I got my arm hit. After that, I was on the ground, and by the looks of the reactions. It was an interception. And the other one to Larry, just a good play, bad read.
Next up, Kent, Josh, Kellen.
Kyler, it was obviously hard to get in a flow today. What did the Lions do defensively, do you think, that maybe caused some of that? Did they approach you guys differently than the first 2 opponents?
They do what they do, and like I said, I think if I don't turn the ball over 3 times, we have a better chance to win the game.
Hey, Kyler. DeAndre's off to the best starts of his career through 3 games. What do you think about how hot he's been, and what kind of reliable option has he been for you?
Yeah, I mean, he's everybody knows, his name, who he is on the field. One of the best players in the NFL, and obviously, I mean, having him is a huge deal. He's been playing great, and hopefully we can keep that going.
Kyler, 2 touchdowns today for Andy Isabella.
On to the next game. Definitely have to have that mentality in the NFL. How about we take a look now at the day on the ground with the Toro ground stats. Again, Murray, not that much of a threat on the ground this game.
Yeah, he did not do nearly as much damage as in those first two games. And Kenyon Drake had a decent day, as we talked about earlier, but the Lions were the worst-ranked running defense in the NFL coming into this one. They were much better than what they showed in the first two games. So I think the Cardinals are going to be dissatisfied with the way they ran the ball. And the problem is, if you only get 1 or 2 yards on first down, you're putting yourselves into a more pass-likely situation. The defense can plan for that, and they can play more zone or be ready for the pass. So the Cardinals, I didn't feel like were as unpredictable as they were in, the previous game. But still, it's still early, and we'll see what happens with this ground game. But I do feel like they need to find another gear because last year it was so good down the stretch.
Yeah, definitely not with the lead there. Less flexibility to get creative with Murray to keep the ball. Well, the Cardinals suffered their first loss of the season. Let's see how the rest of the NFC West did with some scores from around the league. And the Rams actually get the loss there.
Yeah,
the final 35-32 under the Bills.
Huge comeback, and then they lost, and heard the Seahawks won. I know that game was going back and forth. The Seahawks did win.
38-31 over the Cowboys.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Big win for them. Still undefeated. I mean, NFC West, all these teams are just battling, and that was a tough game. So big win for Seattle, and going back to these one-possession games, the Cardinals lost a one-possession game. The Rams lost a one-possession game. The Seahawks won theirs after last week winning on the goal line stop. So in the NFL, you have to win these games with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and a lot of times it determines who wins the division.
And Carolina got the win there, 21-16, which they go and visit next week. Well, that's a wrap for today's show. Unfortunately, we had to talk about the first loss of the season. Cardinals lose 26-23, Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for complete breakdown of today's game. Of course, Kyler Murray, Devon Kennard mic'd up during this. He did have his sack that he wanted over Matthew Stafford in this one. But hey, off to the next one. Carolina's up next. We hope you join us next week right here on Facebook and YouTube. We'll see you next week.